8 being where it is again. I did make a like, how much do I love this movie versus how much is this movie important to the genre, kind of things like that. And it's one of those movies that like, it's hard for me to watch. It's hard for me to watch because when I watch this movie, I understand that sort of NAACP, like, we really don't like the portrayal that's going on. But at the same time, this movie is so incredibly important, and it's so incredibly well done. And it's got some things to it that are super important that people like need to know. And so for me, number 8 is actually going to be Superfly.
Yes, that is. That one is a crossover for us, but yes, that is much higher on my list.
I know it's much higher on your list. Superfly is a really great movie, but when you talk about like the idea of pimps and hoes, and not only pimps and hoes, but the hero of Superfly is a coke dealer, right? The hero of Superfly he's a drug dealer. Now, and don't get me wrong, I get Superfly. I understand the movie is really well done. It's so
Superfly is Superfly.
Superfly is Superfly. It's freaking Superfly. But Superfly falls a little bit down on my list simply because like it really is like it kind of falls into that like. It's the glorification of drug dealers, right?
I get that,
and I don't like, and I know that like that there are some things that like everybody's on the fence about this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we've been on the fence about this since Superfly, whether it's Superfly or it's gangster rap or whatever it is. Like, some people are on one side of this and some people are on the other side of this. I personally love the movie.
That's why it's higher on my list, because I
love the movie. But the message of the movie is there's like, because I mean the whole idea is that like how much like I mean it really is like I need to sell as many drugs as I possibly can so that I get it, you don't want to sell drugs anymore, but really the whole movie is about like him putting a whole lot of drugs out on the streets, and so not like but I do have to. But the other thing about Superfly that I have to throw out there is that Superfly is responsible for being the movie that let Hollywood know that this particular experiment was going to work. Okay, Superfly was done by MGM. It was, at the time, the highest budget Blaxploitation film that had been done. It had the largest marketing campaign of any Blaxploitation movie of that time. And not only that, but Superfly was so popular when it came out.
Oh my God.
So Superfly, and this is like, I mean, and it was 1 week, but for a Blaxploitation movie
to be
number one in the box office, it was number one. I think it was 1 or 2 weeks, right? But the movie that it knocked out of number one for those 2 weeks was The Godfather.
Wow. Okay, now I'm really glad that it's high on my list.
Right? No, it should be really right. The movie is that good. I just have to put it down lower.
I get it.
Because, again, I'm not saying that I think the NAACP is right about everything, but it's a really fantastic film.
Now, I'm going to go, which is what we talked about, I'm switching genres, and it is the one that I love, I think stands out the most in the horror genre of Blaxploitation, which we must go with Blackula. Cannot, and a little shout out, Mom in the comments, please tell me if I'm wrong. I believe that gentleman was my mother's godfather, and I am blanking on his name at this present time, and I'm so sorry for that. But it was the first time that we had seen a black horror movie. And yes, did they take Dracula and just make
totally put a black guy in the film and like made it like, but I mean like how much can you change the Dracula story?
And it is one of the few of all these Blaxploitation movies that got not one, multiple sequels.
Right.
There's like Blackula 2, I can't remember all. There's like, I want to say there's at least a good 4 or 5 movies.
it was a very popular franchise. Which you don't like, which you're like, really?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, no, super popular
and yes,
franchise.
It's weird. Yes, and it's weird. If you go watch the movie, there are times that, yes, he does look like Count Chocula. I don't want to get into it.
It just happens.
It just kind of happens that way. But it was not. I wanted to make sure to like get to the diverse movies that they had, that they did tackle comedy and horror, and this was the one. Right. I mean, and I think with Superfly, there was only one. It was
this one.
Superfly Returns, right? Or Return to Superfly.
Return to Superfly, yeah.
Which was, that wouldn't even make my top 20 list.
I don't, no, didn't even come up. Okay, so I think that since you did mention Blackula, we are, because again, as we talked about, like the idea that like this has sort of been, when we think Blaxploitation, we think about those movies of the 70s because that's really, really the core of it. That's where everything started, right? But there's been homages and repeats of this, and really when you go this big, when you say Blackula, right, one of the things that you have to do is you have to go ahead and you have to go with Vampire in Brooklyn, and you have to just throw out an homage to Eddie.
Oh, yeah. Which I think is, I know it got panned.
It got killed for
love it.
It was a really
and it was, to me, it was an homage to
Blackula. It was totally an homage to Blackula. It was totally a throwback to Blaxploitation. They did it well. Yeah. It was really, really funny. And it was awesome. Right, and she really actually does a great job.
And Kadeem Hardison is hysterical in it.
Yeah. Agreed. Kadeem Hardison is the ghoul.
Yeah,
he just does a fantastic job. You get to see so much of his comedic breath in that. It was really, really great.
So that gets to my 8, and I'll make this one real quick.
This is your 7.
7 is another homage way later. Is Undercover Brother, which I just think is a recent movie, but it is definitely at least his character is an homage to the Blaxploitation. The big car, the afro, the dice, without him being a pimp though. Yeah. But I mean, it's definitely, and for some people who might think this is a stretch, I can see it. But to me, I think it is a great comedy homage to the Blaxploitation movies done in modern time. It's like they took a character from that era and put him, I believe, in the late 90s or early 2000s when the movie came out. I think Eddie Griffin as Undercover Brother is great. Chai McBride, Doogie Howser is a very funny role in there. I love me some NPH. I just think it's just a great fun movie that just kind of just...
I am 100% I'm with you. Now this is really funny because, again, like we talk about, we have crossover. This is further along, but while we're there, right? So we're not like completely tripping over each other. I love this movie. And it's not just and I don't see, this is really funny. I don't see this movie so much as being an homage to the genre as I see this movie just being like a full-fledged member of the genre. Okay. And I think the reason for that being is that there again, we continue it grows, right? This is a movie about Black Power. Mm-hmm. This is a movie that has...
About your blackness.
About your blackness. This is a movie that features these little bitty quips in it that just, that just let you know,
they're little hit points.
They're right, these little bitty tiny hit points. It's really... And that are funny for black people and funny for white people, and some white people and some black people look at it and go, is that real? Right? Like the idea of no, seriously, black people do wonder why you put so much mayonnaise on your sandwiches. Mm-hmm. It's weird. That's kind of weird. But no big deal, right? That's funny. But when he's got the hot sauce squirt, that's you're just like, man, you think to yourself, man, sometimes it wouldn't be bad to have a little packet of sauce or something.
So, but this one is a crossover on our list?
Absolutely. I think this movie's fantastic. I think it's really, really
But you have it higher up.
I do, actually.
Which is fine, which is when we get to our higher-ups, we can kind of breeze through, because we've got 2 on our list, and so we both talked about them, so that'll be good. Let's see. Now it is to your number 7.
All right, so my number 7. Okay, so for me, my number 7, God. So... my number 7 is also not part of the original genre. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it is. Is this 7 for me? Yes. What? I guess no. This is 1, 2, 3. This is 6 for me. I'm on 6. So I'm like, wait, 7, 8. No, this is 7. 10, 9, 8, 7. Thank you. This is 7. Wow. Okay. So my 7, not on the original, not in the original genre, right? Mm-hmm. But so close to the time period for the original genre, and also I think a director that doesn't get credit for being part of the Blaxploitation movement, just because of when he came in. But for me, my number 7 is going to be Do the Right Thing.
That's interesting. I would have never saw it as that, but I can. Mm-hmm. I can understand it. I might have put Crooklyn in there instead of of that, just because of the time and the
because
and
of
era.
the right.
But I get it. I get it.
Now the reason that and then this is so here's the thing. One of the things the reasons that I put this in there in that period, right? And I'll tell you. So I think it's not, again, it's outside of the time period, right? Mm-hmm. It's outside of the time period, but it is again that focus on black culture, that focus on like daily black life, right? Mm-hmm. And I again like it because I feel like the characters that are portrayed in the movie are true to life, right? There's a gamut, right? There's still a gamut in there, but I think Spike Lee does this really, really great job of encapsulating what the Blaxploitation films were about, for a completely different reason, mm-hmm. right? With a completely different sort of political sphere in a way. But I think it fits. I think I do agree that Crooklyn is probably a better fit for the genre. I do agree with you on that.
But like I said before, I completely get the reason why. And so that moves on to our 6. Hold on.
That is 6.
4, 5. We are on to 6.
We are on to 6, yeah.
Is it your turn to say 6 or is it my turn to say 6?
I don't, you know what? Okay, so I'm going to go with my 6 simply because I know that because I think my 6 was actually one that you might have had some difficulty with putting on yours. Okay. And again, mine is outside of the time period. It's outside of the 70s, but I think it fits really well. And I think that as far as when you say Blaxploitation, because I think, it's an amazing comedy. 2, I think that it's intentionally a Blaxploitation film. Mm-hmm. And I think the people that did it are geniuses. So I'm going to go with that. So my number 6 is going to be Don't Be a Menace to Society while drinking your gin and juice in the hood.
And there's the funny thing is, once again, obviously we talk about our lists and talk about ideas we're coming up with. Mm-hmm. And this was some stuff with Mike and I definitely bounced back and forth. Like the night we came up with this idea, we were like, "Oh, and then we got to put this movie, and we got to put this movie."
Right, and
there's a lot of movies we talked about that aren't even.
And I think that's why we had to talk about the fact that like this is a genre, like this really is a 50-year genre. Yeah. Like regardless, you've got that like what people think about when they think about the 70s, and then they think about the throwbacks, because we knew we were going to talk about like that. Those movies that were reinvigorated by mm-hmm. like Quentin Tarantino and his throwback and all of his homages and the Wayans and all of that, and they're throwing those back. And so it's hard to narrow it down and to say, well, this one fits, but this one doesn't fit, but this one fits, because there's so much meat on this bone, and it intertwines through like we said, so many different subjects and genres and times. Now, I do have a comedy on mine, not quite yet, with the same family, and I think you know where I'm going with it. Okay. But the next one I'm going to do is Dolomite. And here's why Dolomite is really important to me. And it would have been lower on my list mm-hmm. if it had not been for the reintroduction of the Eddie Murphy movie playing Dolomite. I was just about to ask you, how do you, when you talk about Dolomite versus, Eddie Murphy's, recent, like I Am Dolomite. Yes, but watching that movie actually made this movie jump higher on my list, was because I just liked the movie. Mm-hmm. I, grew up with the movie. I just thought it was just a fun movie. It went up higher because, unlike a lot of these, this was done by Rudy Ray Moore. Did I do it correct? Yes. Yes. He did this on his own. Mm-hmm. His own money. No studio. Right. There's this zero was, outside funding. This almost goes all the way back to what we were talking about with Melvin Van Peebles. Right. Right. He did this on his own. He was a failed comedian, a failed musician, and on his own came up with this character. Right. Went to the movies, was like, why can't I do that? And has become I think Dolomite is one of the biggest black cult movies of all time. Not just Blaxploitation. I think it's one of the biggest black cult movies ever. No, Dolomite's huge. Yeah. Like, it is huge. And just, I'm not gonna lie. I actually left Dolomite off my list because I knew that you wanted to make that you wanted to kind of highlight it.
Yes, and it was because of Eddie Murphy playing him went. It would have probably made my list, but if I'd have just been like, oh, I like Dolomite, it's pretty badass.
Right.
It probably would have been down there. I'm probably going to say close to the Mac or something like that.
Okay.
But just watching what he did to make himself a star, with the comedy records, which was back. It gave me a reappreciation of the movie and what it took for him to do it.
Right. I agree. No, absolutely.
Now,
I think you're 100% on that.
For my 1, 2, 3. For my 5,
this would be 5
because we do know how to count people.
Now I think this is really weird. Now I'm waiting because it's entirely possible we are going to start touching each other's places here.
Whoa.
So I mean, in a way. So go ahead. We're up there. We're getting close now.
I told you I had a Wayans movie on there, even though it's not directed by them. For me I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. That is the funny send up Blaxploitation movie. You've got Richard Roundtree, you've got Isaac Hayes, the introduction of Chris Rock, the Jim Kelly's the martial artist, right?
Yes.
You got Jim Kelly in it.
They bring back. I mean, they really do. They bring. They pay tribute. That's what. It's not an homage. They literally pay tribute to it.
And yes, it's a spoof on top of it, but it is handled so well. I mean, we want to call it spoof movies, and it's almost hard for me to call it a spoof movie, but it kind of is. It is spoofing the Blaxploitation movies, but respectfully and with bringing back those characters.
Well, and they bring back and again they pay tribute to it in such a respectful manner that it really isn't a spoof. I mean, it's a send up. It's a send up, but it's not. They don't lampoon any of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, they lampoon other stuff, but not the genre.
But not the genre. No.
And the whole thing about every hero has a theme song, and the original OG's got that, got that, and then at the end, Keenan Wayans has his theme song. It's KRS-One, and that's what I thought was a nice little bridge and mix of the old school hero with his that funky 70s music. And then then you get to the mid '80s, and you got Boogie Down Productions as your theme music. Just
that was it was so well done.
Well done,
incredibly well done. I agree with you. That one was fantastic. All right, so we're on number 5.
Yes.
So my number 5, I'm actually going to go ahead, and I think my number 5 is probably my number 5 is a lot higher. So I might go ahead and say let's do your number 4, and then we'll kick back to my number 5. Simply because I know where my number 5 is on your list, and I want you to talk about that movie more than I do.
Okay, well, see, and that's how I feel about my number 4.
Oh my goodness! Okay, so we're just gonna do it. So let's do this. Okay, I'm going to skip around, and I'm actually going to do now. Oh, actually, I'm going to do my number
5.
I'm going to do my number 4.
You're
I'm going to do my number 4 because my number 4 actually I think ties into. To something we just talked about.
Okay.
As far as Dolomite and the story of Dolomite, my number 4 is actually Meteor Man.
And also, that's just a really great memory.
Which, and such an absolutely hilarious film. It's on there because if there is a director and an actor that has earned his right to be in the Blaxploitation genre, it is Robert Townsend. Townsend has. Robert Townsend, and this is why I like Robert Townsend, because Robert Townsend is very much a similar story. Robert Townsend did his first few movies on his own credit card.
Oh, Hollywood Shuffle! Hollywood Shuffle basically almost bankrupt.
Yeah, right. I mean, that was everything.
He was maxing out credit cards.
Right. He made that movie on his own credit card.
Yeah,
and literally made his own career.
Yeah.
I mean, and made it with a movie that is absolutely hilarious. That is just...
Which I feel doesn't get talked about as much anymore.
No, I don't... here's the thing. I don't... Robert Townsend is probably, as far as acting and directing goes, I mean, he's got to be in the top 5 of most underrated.
Well, and you guys go, if you haven't seen it, please go back to it. Our top 5 movies, his movie is on my number 2 on the soundtrack, and it is because of the not only a great soundtrack, but the movie itself, too. So I would agree with you with that. So we're going to, you jump to your 4 because...
I jumped to my 4 because I believe my number 5 is your number 1 and your number 4 is my number 1.
So
why don't we do this? Let's talk about what is my number 2 and I think is also your number 2.
Okay.
Because I believe that my number 2, and my number 2 is just... I mean,
Shaka Zulu?
Is... How did you know? Oh my God.
I know.
The spear dance is my bet.
My number 2 is actually Roots. Just kidding.
No.
Sorry.
You're gonna get a call from your mom.
I might even get a call by my dad for that.
I know. Hey, that wasn't. Hey.
So you think number 2 is the same?
There's Superfly, Chicken George. No, so number 2. My number 2 is Shaft.
Which is, yes, this is the one.
Which is also your number 2, I believe. I think this is the one,
Richard Roundtree.
one movie where we actually match up.
I mean,
Richard Roundtree, dude.
How can it not be in your top 2? I mean, I'm sorry.
It's
Everyone
Shaft.
has their own list. If Shaft is not in your top 2, not even top 3, if Shaft is not in your top 2,
I don't know. I don't know if I can talk. We have a lot of things. You can be like, yeah, but I don't like it's got to be 1 or 2. Depending, I don't know who you are if it's not 1 or 2. That's right. It's Shaft. It's Richard Roundtree. It's Richard Roundtree being as badass as a badass can be. You know, it's Richard Roundtree as a private detective that just walks up. It's now, and this is really funny because I don't see Shaft as being Bond at all.
No.
Right?
No.
And I think a lot of people are like, oh, Shaft is like the Black Bond. No, I don't see Shaft as Bond at all. Like, Shaft is so much more badass than Bond. Like, for me, Shaft is a lot closer to, like, the Punisher than he is. I mean, he's not, but he's a lot closer, too.
I would respect that more.
You know?
Like, because he is a PI, I mean, and the difference, he's not a vigilante. He's a PI who just happens to take things into his own hand. I know that's walking a thin line, but...
Right, but I mean, and at the time, like, you know, you've got, like, Richard Roundtree, like, walks into a room and, like, just says hello to women, and he's just like, and, you know, and you just think he's so cool, he's just like, hello, and you're like, ah! I mean, that was just...
And let's admit, we talked about it with I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. It is the most badass theme song in the world.
Boo-doo.
It's up there.
I mean, yeah. I will
say,
this is what I'm saying.
Shut your mouth.
I will admit and say that there are at least 3 times during the average calendar year where, especially in the digital age where I can just pull a song up on my phone, that I'm like in my car, just like, it's time to listen to Shaft.
Yeah, I mean,
I listen, like, purposely listen to that song at least 3 times a year.
I mean, it's
Shaft.
Yeah.
I don't, you know.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to breeze through my number 3 because we've talked about this already. It was all on your list. My number 3 is Superfly.
Totally touch base on that. So my number 3 is Undercover Brother, so we already touched base on that as well.
So we are flip-flopped in our...
I think we're down to 1, right?
Well, I still have my 4. And I have
that's
1.
right.
Because my 4 is your number 1.
I have my 1 and I have my 5.
And I believe
my 5 is your 1 and your 4 is mine, which is so funny because we flipped them almost that closer. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let you talk about your number 1, which is also my number 5.
My number 1, and she's appearing twice on your list.
She is on my list twice.
It was hard not to have her.
She could have been on my list 6 times.
Yes. My number 1, and I get why coffee is good, but my number 1 is Foxy Brown. Foxy Brown up to me is like Shaft. Like, one of the first things I think of when someone says Blaxploitation movies, my brain instantly goes, Foxy Brown, Shaft. I mean, that. I mean, and yes, is Foxy Brown that different from Shaft? No. But it is Pam Grier being a female Shaft and just... Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, a little more badass.
Just a little, yeah. Pam Grier actually is... Like, Foxy Brown Foxy Brown is just this much more badass than Shaft.
I mean, Shaft is cool.
But head to head, Shaft is cool, but toe to toe, head to head, Foxy Brown's beating the shit out of Shaft. Pardon my language.
Yeah. But and it's just a quintessential and it's a blaxploitation movie with a strong character. Once again, not a hoe,
right?
Nothing like that. Just Foxy Brown, which I think there's another Pam Grier movie. Why I think I left it off my list. Why you put Superfly down low because of the content of it,
right?
If you know, you know. Just look up IMDb and look up Pam Grier's career. You just watch her movies.
She's insane.
It's she's sexy, she's smart, she's fierce. I mean, it's just it is just I think it's a little bit more empowering than Coffee. Not that Coffee's not a good movie,
absolutely,
but just Foxy Brown right there. But now yours,
100%.
Yours is number 4, and I understand why it's my 4.
This is really funny because again,
I understand why it's your 1 though.
Again. It's we are kind of talking about that kind of empowerment, especially women's empowerment. And my number 1 is Cleopatra Jones,
which was my number 4.
Rob's number 4, Cleopatra Jones. I think Miss Dobson, who passed away I think in 2006. This is really funny. I think was it Pamela Dobson? Pam Grier took what was going to be her career, and this isn't any fault of Pam Grier's, but Pam Grier came out as such a more badass woman superhero super cop than Dobson could, and it just
because that's her only big.
That's really it. She's got the follow up to that. She's got because Cleopatra Jones has there's 3, I think.
Yeah.
There's Cleopatra Jones 2, and then the third one was this offshoot that was just kind of weird. It never hit the rise of Coffee or Foxy Brown. No, they never got there. They were but the thing with Cleopatra Jones for me, why I think it's so amazing, is that Cleopatra Jones is the blaxploitation Bond movies,
and that's where
right? And that's the thing. You got to.
It's not Shaft.
No, it's not Shaft. It's Bond.
Yeah,
she is Bond. Spy.
Yeah.
She's got she's the gadget. She's got the gadgets. They're doing the they're fighting the evil weird bad guy with a crazy accent.
Got the cat.
Right. The Bond the weird Bond villain with the cat and the weird accent and the eye patch and stuff, right? And so Cleopatra Jones for me that was it's a more superhero-esque. Because it's very Bond. The movie, the starting sequence of that movie, every time I see it, I get excited about it because because to see, this black woman, right, standing on this, mountain, and as these, jets overfly, and everybody, and it just the whole, opening sequence of Bond, right?
I know when we talked about this, you were very excited about going back and rewatching this movie.
My gosh!
So.
Yeah, I had a blast rewatching it, too. I did, the whole popcorn thing, and I sat down, and it started, and the jets came, and I was like, oh, it's coming! I was so excited. And it's one of those movies that, again, I can also, give me, a Roger Moore marathon. Bond, that Bond style of movie. Mm-hmm. I really do. That's, my jam. I love it. I enjoy those. So
that's kind of where we were.
Yeah, that's our, that's kind of our wheelhouse.
Our generation of Bond, which is...
Absolutely.
God, there's a list that we could do. Drive us nuts.
Bond films.
Bond films. Ooh, sorry.
No.
See, look, idea on film. Please let us know if you would like that.
Right, and hey, you guys, don't forget. Thank you for hanging out with us while we talk. Don't forget. Hey, please hit the subscribe button. We really just enjoy having everybody kind of come and hang out with us. Now that we're kind of sitting in front of a fire, just sort of chilling,
we feel cozy.
We do. It's kind of cozy, and we enjoy it.
And once again, please leave comments on our pages. Please leave comments on our videos. Let us know. As you know, if you let us know what you want to talk about, we'll do it. We did a whole video. Once again, shout out to Steve in Houston.
Absolutely.
Let us know what you want to hear. Also, interact. Let us know what movies you love, especially in this topic. And if we do polls, would you like a poll so we can vote on stuff of what we might want to talk about? I think we just we just want to keep interacting with you guys because this is why we're doing it. As we've said many times, Mike and I do this once or twice a week,
whether we're on film or not. So
we want we're doing this to like bring you into our lives, and we want to be a part of your lives and just hang out. We're just two guys, as we say in our tag, to cuss and discuss and just be us.
Yeah. So email us at therobandmikeshow@gmail.com. You can find us on all of our social media at The Rob and Mike Show. And don't forget, that is an N.
And that is on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Please comment. Give us ideas. We would love to do shows about what you want to hear, and hope you guys still just enjoy the stuff that we talk about. For us, this was a very special show. We've been excited about doing the show, as we said, for at least 3 weeks now or something like that.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate it, and thank you for all the support. And we're just going to keep bringing you content every week and just have fun. And hope you guys are having fun with us. And I think
that's it. And again, that's Rob.
That's Mike.
Thanks again for tuning in. Please hit the like button. Click on subscribe. Let us know you're there. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook. We will see you next week. See you soon. Thank you.